from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
And welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I am Charita Minipurarachi. Joining with me today is Kasuni Balachandra.
State Finance Minister says a transparent and effective system on fiscal consolidation has been proposed through the Budget 2023. A meeting between presidents of Sri Lanka and South Africa. Passport fees increase. Conditional bail for Dhanushka Gunatilaka. Republican secures the majority in the US House of Representatives. And we move on to those and other stories in detail. And in your top local story tonight, State Minister Ranjit Siampala-Pittiya says the government has presented a budget with mechanisms on fiscal consolidation for the upcoming year.
He made these remarks while responding to a query raised by the opposition during the budget debate. Today is the third day of the second reading of the appropriation bill. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said the Prime Minister has claimed that there are no constitutional provisions to dissolve the Parliament. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that according to the Constitution, it is not possible to hold a general election in the middle of the term. He said that although one-third of the representatives of the United States Senate can be appointed through the midterm elections, there is no such provisions in Sri Lanka's constitution. Accordingly, the Prime Minister requested not to mislead the people by declaring that there is no responsibility. The Prime Minister said that the existing government is a united coalition government formed to recover the country. Prime Minister Gunawardena said that President presented the budget as a finance minister when the country is in a period of greater crisis. He said that about 150 state corporations are yet to submit their reports to Parliament. He said that the decision to reinvestigate the lands belonging to the government is a bold step that enables the lands to be used for cultivation and women and youth should be empowered. He said that the measures have been taken in the budget for social security.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa arrived in Sri Lanka for a short visit yesterday after attending the G20 summit in Indonesia. He met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Katunayake Air Force Base for discussions on bilateral issues. The discussions were focused on further strengthening the bilateral relationship, aiming at economic cooperation and investment, expanding tourism in Sri Lanka, and receiving South African assistance, guidance and counseling in setting up a credible truth-seeking mechanism to achieve a lasting reconciliation amongst communities. The two state leaders exchanged mementos. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri and officials from both countries were present on the occasion.
All passport charges have been increased. The Department of Immigration and Immigration says the relevant revisions were made based on 2023 budget proposal. Accordingly, fee for the issuance of passport under one-day service has been increased from 15,000 rupees to 20,000 rupees. Fee for the issuance of passport to child below 16 years of age, which is valid for 3 years, has been increased to 3,000 rupees from 2,500 rupees under normal service. Penalty charges for passports lost within 1 year of issue has been revised to 20,000 rupees from 11,500 rupees. Penalty charges for passports lost after 1 year of issuance has been increased to 15,000 rupees from 11,500 rupees. The fee for alternation of passports at the request of the applicant has been revised from 1,000 rupees to 1,200 rupees. Approval fee, which was at 1,150 rupees for countering passports to foreign countries, has been increased up to 2,000 rupees. Fee for direct submission of passport applications from countries where there are no Sri Lankan mission has been increased to 40,000 rupees from 23,200 rupees. Also, fee for direct submission of passport applications from countries where there are no Sri Lankan mission in case of a lost passport has been increased to 70,000 rupees from 50,000 rupees. Motor Traffic Department has revised the vehicle registration charges and affiliated fees effective from tomorrow. According to the fee revision, the first registration of a motor car has been increased up to 25,000 rupees from 15,000 rupees. The charges for a first registration of a motorcycle has been increased from 2,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees. Penalty charges increased in registration and registration of new owners will also be increased from tomorrow. Steps have been taken to increase the first pair training to revenue license.
Sydney's Downing Centre local court granted a conditional bail on Sri Lankan cricketer Dhanush Gunatilaka today. The Sydney police prosecutor representing the victim opposed the bail granted on Gunatilaka. Sydney's Downing Centre local court bail was granted with a surety worth 150,000 Australian dollars and various conditions including a ban on using Tinder or any other dating apps. Gunatilaka has also been prevented from accessing his existing social media accounts unless in the company of his legal team. He must report to the police daily and a curfew has been enforced against him from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. He has also been prevented from contacting the complainant. Dhanush Gunatilaka's passport has been handed over to the Australian police. Dhanush Gunatilaka was arrested in the early hours of November 6th before his team flew home without him following their 2020 World Cup loss to England. He has been charged with 4 counts of sexual intercourse without consent after allegedly sexually assaulting a 29-year-old woman in Sydney's eastern suburbs on the 2nd of November. The case will return to court on the 12th of January.
And meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government is collaborating with the Californian university system to obtain assistance to modernize agriculture in Sri Lanka and to step up a new agro-technology university. The President made these remarks while addressing the 70th anniversary of the United States-Sri Lanka Fulbright Commission program held in Colombo yesterday. Since 1952, the US-funded program of the Commission have been enabled over 2,000 Sri Lankan and American students, scholars and professionals to earn graduate degrees, conduct research and obtain professional development.
Our relations are not only based on education and culture. There's economic assistance. There are political issues on which we stood on the same side, science, technology, many areas. But I would say the foundation is the educational exchange that has taken place, especially with coming into effect of the Fulbright Commission. We have had, as you said, about 3,000 scholars from Sri Lanka and from America that's come here in different areas that everyone has worked. And they have made big impression on Sri Lanka. They have enriched our society and made our culture that much more vibrant. You talked to Dr. Bandaranaike. Now she's going to be needed because we are going to modernize agriculture. And as I said on the Monday, this is the start. Find the land, modernize agriculture. Today we had a discussion with some of the Singaporeans of growing food for those island nations and the Middle East, which hasn't got really the food resources or the backup that we require. And when you say Davis, I was anyway going to talk to you about Davis University, the best in California for agriculture, with a good record on what you did with wine and made Napa Valley very famous. Nevertheless, we've had many others. I remember Mr. Veragoda, our Cabinet Secretary, who had been at Davis earlier. So that's another universities which we will hope to collaborate with. As you know, we are working with some of the other universities trying to collaborate in the Californian university system. So these are some of the links that we've had going into these areas. I have not been a Fulbright scholar, but I have had the occasion of being in one of the prestigious universities, the MIT, and I can see the amount of knowledge that can be absorbed. So there will be far more than that, and we'll need far more scholarships as far as modernizing agriculture is concerned. And a new agro-technology university which will come out, which will combine the TRI amongst others to work with some of the American institutions on how we upgrade research. As far as English language is concerned, as the minister knows, our next 10 years are going to focus a lot on English and how we train the teachers, how we train the trainers. That's a big project. And certainly we will be starting on it, and we'll have to depend on the Fulbright scholarships at assistance at that time of getting counterparts from America down here.
U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Shung, Minister of Education Susil Premachand and many other dignitaries were present at this occasion. And meanwhile, the petitioners who filed a fundamental rights petition requesting to revoke the presidential pardon granted on Duminda Silva has appealed the Supreme Court today to name former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as a respondent to the relevant FR petition.
A three-member High Court judge panel found Duminda Silva guilty for the alleged murder of former MP Bharata Lakshman Premachandra and issued death penalty against the defendant. Wife of late Bharata Lakshman, Sumana Premachandra, former MP Hirunika Premachandra and President's Counsel Ghazali Hussain have filed 3 fundamental rights petitions. The petitions were taken up for consideration before a Supreme Court judge panel comprising Justices Gamini Amarasekara and Janak De Silva. Representing the petitioners, President's Counsel M.A. Sumandiran and Jeffrey Alagaratnam and Attorney-at-Law Iraj De Silva informed the courts that they are expecting to name former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as a respondent of the FR petitions. They also informed that the relevant documentation in this regard have already been submitted to the courts. The Supreme Court then declared that the petitions will be considered on the 24th to ensure the relevant information pertaining to the request made to name the former president as a respondent. The death penalty against Duminda Silva was issued with the majority view of the 3-member High Court judge panel, and the Supreme Court approved the relevant order. The petition has alleged that the former president, amidst such order, proceeded to grant presidential pardon on Duminda Silva without adhering to a recognized legal procedure.
The Colombo Chief Magistrate Court today extended the overseas travel ban imposed on State Minister Diana Gamage until December 15. Representing the State Minister, President's Counsel Sarath Jamana said an outside party not directly involved in the proceedings of the case had obtained the overseas travel ban on his client. The President's Counsel requested the court to lift the ban, citing that an outside party cannot obtain such court orders the attorneys representing the complaint. The General Secretary of Samagi Janabalavege opposed the relevant request. Accordingly, Colombo Chief Magistrate Nandan Amarasinghe said that the relevant order pertaining to the request will be declared on December 15th. However, the magistrate said that the relevant travel ban imposed on State Minister will remain extended. And meanwhile, leader of the indigenous community Uruvarige Wanila says the livelihoods of the youth in their communities have been affected due to the collapse in the construction industry. Speaking at a media briefing held in Dabana, he also said that the youth in indigenous circles involved in fisheries industry have also been affected. Leader of the indigenous community Uruvarige Wanila said that the youth have returned to their communities following a suspension of work related to the construction industry. He said that the youth are unable to make a livelihood due to various legal implications pertaining to forestry. He requested the government to grant approval for the youth to make an earning by fishing in selected tanks to ensure the survival of the communities.
Ravana Falls is a popular sightseeing attraction in Sri Lanka. It currently ranks as one of the widest falls in the country. It is a popular sightseeing attraction in Sri Lanka and best visited during the local wet season when the water is said to resemble an erica flower with withering petals. The rocks located nearby affords awe-inspiring vistas of both the falls as well as some of Allah's treasured surroundings. Meanwhile, around 40 deaths are reported during the wet season surrounding the Ravana Falls. Therefore, the police have requested the public to take precautionary measures when visiting waterfalls across the country.
National Literary Awards 2022 was held at the BMICH today. The winners were restored with awards under 74 categories. The ceremony was held with the participation of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The awards presentation was held under 6 categories. The competitions were held under the 3 languages, primary, post-primary, junior, senior, secondary and open categories. Colombo District Geekenege Ralalage Lakna Subodhani won the first place in the song lyrics composing under the open category. Amarako Narachilage Dayanand Amarako won the first place to the short story segment of the open category. Addressing the Prime Minister, Dinesh Gunawardena said that library facilities in all schools across the country should be upgraded.
විද්‍යාල විවිධ ශේෂ්ත්‍රවල විවිධ පළාත්වල එක්තැන් වීමෙන් ඉටු කරන කාර්යය මෙලෙස අගය කිරීමකට පත් වෙනවා.
State Minister Vidura Wickramanayake was also present at this occasion.
A list of institutions under the purview of the government was presented to the Parliament for the first time in the history today. The relevant list was presented by State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya. Accordingly, the list has indicated 1,283 state institutions under the purview of the government. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the list of institutions under the purview of the government was presented to Parliament as per the promise of President Ranil Wickremesinghe while presenting the Budget 2023. He added that there are 1,283 institutions under the purview of the government, out of which 29 are ministries and 99 are government departments. He further said that there are 25 district secretariats, 9 provincial councils, 341 divisional secretariat officers and 341 local government bodies. National Television's Muthuhara children's program is the oldest children's program in the country's television history to telecast uninterruptedly.
And Muthuhara Children's Society is the only children's association consist of local and foreign children. 6 years have passed since the establishment of 2527th Adelaide Rupavahini Muthuhara Children's Society. Accordingly, preparations have been made to host the Muthuhara Night 2022 on the next Saturday. 2527th Adelaide Muthuhara Children's Society is functioning under the Muthuhara Children's Society of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. The Adelaide Muthuhara Society was formed on October 1, 2016 with the participation of 50 children. The aim of this program is to improve skills and leadership of children, mutual understanding and reconciliation, and impart understanding over the Sri Lankan culture. The Adelaide Muthuhara Society consists of a media unit, an aesthetic group, a women's cricket team and a welfare society. Founder on the organization of Adelaide Muthuhara Children's Society, Kumuduni Vidyaratna, said that the new members will be recruited to the society at Muthuhara Night event. Muthuhara program was launched by Dr. Lalitha Siribadana under a concept of first chairman of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, M.J. Pereira, on April 28, 1982 with the theme Lassana Lokayak Hadamu. Welcome back with international news. And Republicans have secured 218 seats needed for a majority in the lower chamber of the Congress a week after the midterm elections. The BBC's house partner CBC News projects while the party's margin of a House of Representatives is razor thin, it is enough to stall the President Joe Biden's agenda for the next 2 years. Kevin McCarthy, the Republicans' leader in the House, celebrated the result, but Democrats will retain control of the upper chamber, the Senate. Then if Congress will convene in January, the Republicans, who had hoped to win the control of both chambers, underperformed expectations in last week midterms, but they won the seat needed for their House majority yesterday when the California's 27th district went to incumbent Mike Garcia. The Republican Party is now projected to win between 218 to 223 seats in the 435-seat House, according to CBS. But with the votes in several cliffhanger races still being counted, the majority may not be clear for days or even weeks. In order to be elected Speaker, the House Republican minority leader must win the majority support from the 435 members and the full House. But Pelosi signaled she would not relinquish the gravel quality, vowing in a statement yesterday night that the party would exert strong leverage over a scant Republican majority. The first woman to hold the post, Pelosi, 82, said nothing in her press release about whether she planned to stay on as a minority leader amid speculation in Washington about the future. And meanwhile, North Korea has fired a ballistic missile towards eastern waters, according to the officials in Seoul, hours after threatening a fierce military response to efforts by the United States to boost its security presence in the region.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the short-range ballistic missile was fired from North Korea's Wonsan area today. The missile flew around 240 kilometers and reached an altitude of 47 kilometers, the JCS said, adding that shortly before the launch, the South Korean and US militaries had staged a pre-planned missile defense exercise. The South Korean military will continue to maintain a firm readiness posture, it said. Pyongyang has tested a record number of missiles this year, including a possible failed intercontinental ballistic missile, while Washington and Seoul have expanded the scope and scale of their joint military exercises. Some of the drills have involved Japan. Amid the tensions, leaders of the US, South Korea and Japan held trilateral talks on the sidelines of the East Asia Summit in Cambodia last week and pledged to work together to further strengthen deterrence. In a statement after the discussions, US President Joe Biden, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida strongly condemned North Korea's unprecedented number of ballistic missile launches and pledged to forge still closer trilateral links in the security realm and beyond.
And meanwhile, the Chinese leader Xi Jinping was captured in a rare candid moment yesterday, where he was filmed talking to his Canadian counterpart, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, over what he described as leaked discussions. On the sidelines of the G20 summit in Indonesia, President of China Xi chatted with the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau in Mandarin with a smile. Chinese Foreign Minister in a statement said the Chinese President Xi Jinping was not criticizing Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau.
Free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have.
Let's create the conditions first.
මෙහෙම දිනන්න මෙහෙම වන්න
ප්‍රීමා කතුමි ෆන් තමයි.
Welcome back with this. World professional players, and he is also the topmost player in Sri Lanka as well.
Ravindu Laksari entered into the game of squash from DS Senanayake College, Colombo. Becoming the national champion in 2013 for the first time, Ravindu retained the championship consecutively for 9 years. He began competing in world ranking championships from this year. He was ranked at the 654th place during his first global tournament, and after 6 championships, Ravindu has been able to climb up the world rankings to the 197th place. He managed to win the PSA Squash Championship held in Bangladesh last year. Following the win, he became the world's most outstanding player for the month of October. He has competed in the Commonwealth Games in 3 occasions representing Sri Lanka. He came to limelight after Pakistan national Rehman Gul became the national coach of Sri Lanka. However, the national level players including Ravindu are carrying out their trainings and practices without a permanent coach.
මෙහෙම දිනන්න මෙහෙම වන්න.
Prima Katumi, Fantamai.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Join us tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita signing off with Kansuni. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.